the game is never over. Even if you low roll the early game, you can still high roll in the mid game. You just got to give yourself enough chances to do that. Welcome back to another Owlvado video. In today's video, we're going to be watching game played by Garchomp Pro. Now, if you don't know who Garchomp Pro is, he finished at number 12 out of 128 players at the end of day 1 in the Defender Cup, and then he finished at number 1 out of 64 players in day 2 of the Defender Cup. He definitely knows something that other people don't, especially with that kind of consistency. Let's try and watch one of his games and see what we can learn from them. He goes for Rod off of Carousel, and I've done my research on this guy, and he definitely prefers the AP line. It must be something that he's more comfortable with. I would say about 90% of his low chest games are AP, whether it be Viego or MF or just some other AP flex. He gets dropped Bow and Glove, and he neglects a triple Lux Shop. So even though he's playing around AP, he does not he doesn't think it's worth it to buy Lux 3, because then he wouldn't be able to hold on to any other units, and then it would be probably a lot more difficult to play around Lux rather than having the extra frontline units that he currently has. So now we can see the first augment of the game. It's Hacker Hearts, Preparation, or Battle Mage. He does some scouting there. Pretty sure he scouts because he wants to know whether or not more of the lobby is AP versus AD. I think maybe he was considering going Preparation if most of the lobby was AP, because then you wouldn't get as much effectiveness from Battle Mage. But from what he saw, it looks like there was enough players playing AD where Battle Mage was more beneficial than Preparation. Battle Mage also, of course, a really strong augment in the AP line. Viego, definitely one of Viego's best augments. And even if you're playing around, like Misfortune, there's often a lot of really strong frontline units that benefit from Battle Mage, even if you don't want to frontline your Misfortune. And, I mean, his spot is looking pretty difficult. He hasn't really hit anything yet, except for just now when he hit this Yasuo 2. But even with this Yasuo 2, he's not slamming any items. He doesn't have like an extremely strong board to contest a win streak. And also now with this Yasuo 2, he's like strong enough where he's gonna like win some rounds, but he's not strong enough where he's going to, like continue to streak after this. So he's obviously still able to make 10 there, so making the Yasuo, you always make Yasuo 2. But I don't know, he's put in like a really difficult spot. So let's see what he goes for. Carousel off of here. He goes for Rod, and I think he goes for Rod because he just wants to make one item, and then he thinks that a lot of other Rod items are slammable. I think he'd be okay with getting Spark here. He'd be okay with getting Gunblade here. Maybe if he got another Rod, he'd like consider making Rabadons. But he goes ahead and makes JG. Slams the Rod on the Yasuo as well because he wants the extra AP. Maybe that kills one more unit. But you can see this guy's board is really strong who he's fighting against. And he's not able to continue winning from the previous round. Yeah, this spot is like one of these spots where it's like extremely difficult to play because you have no streak. And he has like direction and whether like in playing AP, but he's also kind of confined to playing around Viego. Like I think you default Viego here because of Battle Mage. And so if he gets put in a spot where he he can't play around Viego, it's going to be really hard for him. He doesn't have not a single unit on his board right now is a unit that you want on a Viego board. So let's see exactly how he plays around this to try and win this game. He's dropped gold, rod, and sword. So there's two plays here. You can make like GS Rabadons. The issue with making GS Rabadons is that you have no frontline items, and if you get any more like tank items, then you're like pretty screwed. I mean, if you don't get any more tank items, then you're screwed. So he goes ahead and make Gunblade. If you do not know, Gunblade just got buffed. It's 25% Omnivamp instead of 20, and it's one of like the strongest items in the game right now. And now we see the second augment. So it was either Knife's Edge, Portable Forge, or Brawler Crest. Brawler Crest is basically like unplayable right now. You could literally get like 8 Brawler online with Jax 3 and probably still go like 5th. Knife's Edge is like... Knife's Edge is playable, considering he has Battle Mage and stats are stats, so sometimes that's like what you want to go for if that's like your only option. But it wasn't his only option. He was able to go for Portable Forge as well. And Portable Forge is one of the strongest augments in the game right now because of how strong some of these items on current meta champions. You get an Anima Visage or Eternal Winter mech set. It turns your set into like a god unit. Basically becomes like unkillable. The set is like always the last unit to die in fights like that, and you just get like an extra tank item. So you don't have to like guarantee triple tank item, triple damage item by the end of the game. You like just get one of them for free. And he goes for Zanya's Hourglass here. And if you do not know, Zanya's Hourglass is one of the best items on Viego. I also looked at the stats for this, and any item trio that includes Zanya's has like a significantly higher top 4 rate and win rate than any other item trio on Viego. And then, since he's first pick, he's able to get bailed out by hitting this Viego on Carousel. So he wanted the Viego on Carousel, but the Viego came with a glove. And he can't use the glove effectively, but he has this Reforger. We insta-reforges the glove to make sure that he can put 3 items on Viego, and he doesn't really want the glove anyways. He already has JG for his damage item. He already has Gunblade for his healing item. All he's really looking for now is some MR Shred, and then of course the Zanya's is going to go on Viego as well. And we can kind of see how exactly he chooses to make this pivot into Viego comp. A couple rounds ago, he was basically like playing like Bruiser Laser Core Duelists. And after his 3-2, 3-3 roll down, he just holds all of the Octoforce units. He makes Cho'Gath 2, and then he gets Viego off Carousel, and you can now see that like his board is basically like the perfect Viego board for stage 7. 3 Renegade, 4 Octoforce, 2 admin. By the way, the admin was every 5 seconds your team gains 12% attack speed. So he's utilizing his early game loss, or like his low HP, and he like high rolls the Carousel, and then he makes like the full pivot to Viego. And then he continues to roll down further on level 7 because he hit the Viego pair, and then he's able to get Viego 2. His items were, he got dropped belt, I think. Because he already had Shane, yeah. Did he actually just get dropped triple belt? I don't know, but here's the final augment. Essentially what's happening here is, you can see his traits, right? Renegade, Octoforce, Threat, but it was Alistar, Riven, and Vayne. You might be thinking, how is he getting Riven and Vayne? And I believe that is because there are no 3-cost Renegades, and Threat you can get no matter what. Like Threat, you don't have to have a Threat in to get Threat. But just because you have Threat in doesn't mean you're like going to get Threat. And so I'm pretty sure what happened when his augments got rolled was the first augment slot was rolling one of his traits on his board, so he got Ox Force, and then the second augment slot was rolling his traits on his board, but you can't get Renegade because there's no 3-cost Renegade, so it just showed him 2 random units. Like the second one, there was no option for Renegade, so it just showed him a random unit, and then the third option, it just showed him a completely random unit because it was done checking units for his board. I don't think you can get, like, you can't get Alistar support and Alistar carry in the same like augment option. Now I do think if he rerolled, he could have gotten the opposing Alistar one, but they did just buff Behemoth, and I think Behemoth or I guess he considers Behemoth a lot stronger. And so he goes for Cloak off of Carousel to guarantee the spark, and he now has essentially his full comp online. So there's not much more that happens until the next stage, so I'm going to go ahead and skip it to stage 5. We're now going into stage 5. He just finished fighting Asoul, and he got dropped Bow plus Anvil. Like I said, there wasn't really much else that happened. He was basically just sitting on, you know, econ thresholds. He didn't really have enough gold to buy any extra units. He goes level 8 on 5-1. He doesn't need to roll anymore on 7. He already has Viego 2, and then he was able to get Zac 2. And you can just see that this Viego, now that the full comp is online, he's like going to town. Zanya's Viego, he gets the invulnerability, and then he can like heal back up. And then you have to get him down to Ox Force, and then you can heal back up. And by that time, like, if you have to kill Viego twice, like, you just might be out of luck. I kind of want to go over his positioning. He was positioning, like, basically everyone in the front previously, and he's continuing to do that. And I believe the reason why he's doing that, I mean, obviously he has Battle Mage. He just wants to make sure he gets Battle Mage value on everyone. But also, he wants to just make sure that a backline unit isn't targeting his Viego first. So he just kind of puts his Viego in the middle somewhere, and then he's like swapping the position of the Viego to mirror backline units with his frontline tank that like provides CC. So now that he has the spark, Viego can actually get through some frontline units. And before what was happening is he was losing rounds because there's a backline unit and a frontline unit. And if Viego's targeting the biggest clump, but there is no like biggest clump, there's only one unit sizes that he can target, he'll always jump to the same unit if he gets stuck on that unit. So like here, for example, he can jump towards the front and the back because there's like separate clumps with like Fiddlesticks and Urgot. But if there were no Fiddlesticks, no Urgot, he would never jump to Samira if he chose to jump to Set first. Set fight tactics, overtime, tie kill, someone dies to tie. There really isn't like too much to say about his positioning, because at the end of the day, like, the Viego just targets the biggest clump. So he can always just, like, wherever he positions Viego in the front line doesn't really matter, so he's basically just trying to position his front line, or his tank units in the correct spot. You can see this Alistar doing like a bunch of magic damage because of his carry hero augment. He moved over the items to Alistar after he was able to get some more frontline, and it made sense to swap out the units. He somehow hit a I'm gonna hit a Nunu too. I think probably just because Nunu is like the least contested 5 cost right now. It's not that good, but it's like the best thing for his board at this time because it just gives him mascot and he doesn't really need any other traits. He can't hit 6 Ox Force. He can't hit 6 Renegade. There's not really any reason to, like, he doesn't need to play units over other units. And if he ever gets like a Fiddlesticks or an Urgot, he can always just play that over like one of these Zacks. Or I think he would just greed. Holding, like he would just hold Fiddlesticks and Urgot till he can play that over like a Nunu too. Like he would hold on to the Fiddlesticks or the Urgots to try and like get the pairs. Or to, he would hold on to Fiddlesticks just in case, like just to increase the chances of him getting like Fiddlesticks too. But I don't think he would replace a Nunu 2 with a Fiddlesticks 1 or Urgot 1. It's like basically what I'm trying to say. But yeah, these Zacks are putting in some crazy work. He has 2 ZZ-Rot Zack 2s. When the Zack is dying, he's releasing 3 blobs. See, there's like a Sure Shot player. There's actually a guy with a Ribbon 3 with Reverberation. That's kind of cool. Harry Ribbon. And yeah, these players are just trying to fit in as many Fiddlesticks on their board as possible to just DC this Viego, because that's essentially the only way you're going to kill the Viego. If the Viego jumps on Fiddlesticks, Fiddlesticks ults, CCs him. He gets down to Zanya's threshold, he ults on the other Fiddlesticks, the Fiddlesticks CCs him even further, and then his backline units can kill him or get him to Ox Force range, and then he can, and then they can actually take him down before he like just goes infinite. The kids get Laser Core stat off of Carousel. It's because it was like literally nothing to go for. It was just single items or random traits that didn't fit on his board. And he's against someone with Mech Urgot. There isn't really too much to say. It looks like just trying to make sure this Leona gets some value. See the Leona on the right side actually walks to the back. But these fights are like pretty chaotic. I bet you could run back these fights like a bunch of times. And it could go like either way, like so many different, either player could win. Really hard to tell exactly like the perfect way to position here, considering how many different targets this Viego can jump to. He actually locked a shop to get this Viego to try. I mean, he locked a shop for Echo because he was considering putting multiple Aegis in. And he locked a shop with Zack just to buy this Echo and then roll once and then see a double Zack shop, buy the Zacks, roll again, and then see another Zack shop. He gets Zack 3 drops 4 blobs. And I think the Zack 3 actually might have made the difference considering how close that last fight was. And that was guaranteed to be the last round. They were both below like 16 HP, so I think even like a 1 unit loss is like guaranteed, or maybe like you needed a 2 unit loss. I don't know, he just won. But either way, I thought that was a pretty crazy game. He definitely like started off from like a low roll opener, but then he like high rolled the mid game and was able to get that Viego 2 really quickly, and then he used that Viego 2 to tempo into, like, level 8, and then roll down on level 8, stabilize, and then go to level 9, and then eventually win the game. So even though it's hard to emulate a playstyle like that, just know that, the game is never over. Even if you low roll the early game, you can still high roll in the mid game. You just got to give yourself enough chances to do that. If you liked the video, like it, and I'll see you in the next one.